Hey, Shalom Shalom Mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings, and today I'm going to throw out there a few thoughts regarding unity within the Messianic and Natsari or Nazarene Jewish movements. So I'm going to read directly from a paper that I've just written, so bear with me. The reason I'm doing so, not just doing it off the cuff, is I want to make sure that I get everything that I want to say in there. So here goes. Some common fallacies that sadly and unnecessarily divide the Messianic and Natsari movement is that it is more important to keep the commandments of Torah more so than how to keep the commandments of Torah. In other words, the halakha. There is almost always more than one way to keep a commandment, and we shouldn't hound people on the how so long as they are fulfilling the Torah to the very best of their ability. Secondly, we seriously need to differentiate and separate customs and traditions and halakha from the Torah commandments itself and acknowledge what actually is a Torah command and what is actually a tradition, and not condemn people for choosing not to adhere to a particular custom or tradition. We must strive for unity while allowing and acknowledging diversity within the movement. Third, we need to correctly interpret Torah in the proper Hebraic, linguistic, historical, and cultural context, taking into consideration the state of the modern world and affairs, and to adapt properly and accordingly in an acceptable Torah manner. This will keep us from establishing cult-like doctrines and doctrinal stances and hang-ups that causes and promote division within the body of Messiah rather than unity. We need to properly assess and take into consideration Judaic and Christian literature and filter it through Torah, which will only have one of three outcomes. If it lines up with Torah, keep it. If it contradicts the Torah, ignore it and throw it out. If it is benignly neutral, it's left up to the individual whether to adhere to that particular custom or tradition or not. We must acknowledge and accept diversity within the body and focus on our commonalities while striving to understand our differences, as we take the philosophy that we can agree to disagree agreeably in Messiah's love. Just because we differ on non-cardinal halakha or customary issues does not mean we can't work in fellowship and worship side by side in unity. Take Yeshua's diverse Talmudim, for example. Virtually all of them came from diverse regions, diverse familial situations, diverse occupational, political, religious, and philosophical backgrounds, yet learned to minister as a unified whole. Our petty squabbles and divisions and derisions is worse than the Christian chaos many of us came from, and we come off as crackpot cult members to Christians, Jews, and the secular world at large. We need to get our act together and start with each and every one of us as individuals, resolutely doing the right thing and correcting errors outlined above. How our Father in heaven must weep at our childish squabbles that appear as juvenile fights between siblings in the back seat of a car on a road trip. These are just simple, really common sense things. It just seems like no matter what religious genre or what religious element or environment you put yourself in, the human tendency is, even on a subconscious level, is to say, I've got the truth. I've got a monopoly on the truth. I got it all right. I know everything. And if you don't worship or look or believe like me, then we can't fellowship. We can't work together. We're at odds. Something's wrong with you. You don't understand. You don't see. And I mean, we're never going to see eye to eye until Messiah comes. I mean, we can agree on the doctrinal, on the cardinal, foundational, essential type of things of the faith, such as the divinity of Messiah, the death, burial, resurrection, and virgin birth, and the infallibility of the Torah, and that we all should keep the Torah commands, and things of this nature. But when it comes to customs, traditions, and halakha, we need to cut each other slack. We need to agree to disagree agreeably, and we need to work very hard to understand our differences and to just focus on our commonalities and appreciate our differences. We don't always have to agree on everything. I'm just so sick of these cultish tendencies and these cultish doctrines that's popping up within Messianic and Natsari Judaism. There's these groups that are promoting polygamy. There's these groups that are promoting tax evasion. There's these groups that are saying, well, if you don't say, the sacred name just right or just so, then you're not really saved and you're not going to go to heaven. And if you don't do this and if you don't do that and if you don't do this a certain way and if you don't believe that, come on. There's a passage in the Brit Chadasha that says we need to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. And that's that individual stuff. The stuff that's not cardinal, the stuff that's the gray areas, we need to agree to disagree agreeably, and we need to get our act together. We need to have a unity where we can agree on the commonalities and focus on teaching Torah and revealing the Jewishness of Messiah to the world and the Torah to the world, instead of focusing on the little petty nuances and customs and traditions and halakha of things, because every group's going to have a different halakha. Every individual, even if they agree upon one halakha, they may go about following that particular halakha in a different way. And you know what? That's okay. We just need to get over ourselves and need to get over our narcissistic and selfish, self-centered way of faith and religion. What happened to unity? What happened to the community? What happened, to quote Star Trek, the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few? We need unity. Every individual is important, but we have let the Western world philosophy poison our thinking, in that we focus more on us as an individual than the body as a whole. What's best for the body of Messiah at large, instead of I believe this and I believe that and it's my right and I do it this way and I believe that way. And it's I, not like let us do this, let us be that, let us. Okay, in the Brit Chadasha, in Acts, where it's talking about the unity of the believers, I believe that they were unified. I believe that they were in one accord, but I do not for one second believe that every single one of them believed the exact same way and did things the exact same way, because God is not into cookie cutter easy believism. Everybody had a different outlook and a different stance and a different belief on little tiny minor things, but on the majority, on the big things and the cardinal things, they agreed with and they were in unity about and in one spirit about. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be diverse. Just don't push that on everybody else around you, that everybody else has to be the way you are. So hopefully these thoughts really ring true and really hit home, and that we as individuals, each and every one of us, would reevaluate these things in our own hearts, lives, and mind. And the next time when we come encounter with other believers that believe or practice a little bit different, that we'll strive to understand and learn, not to point and condemn. So we'll see you next time. Shalom and Shavua Tov.